There we go.
Okay, yeah, we didn't hear nothing that you said.
Oh my
You
goodness.
gotta run it back because your
I got to
smile
run
was so bright. I was like, what's he
it.
saying?
Well, you know what? My name is Teddy Bear, and you are definitely gorgeous, my love.
Oh, thank you,
And I
Ted.
want to thank everyone for tuning in and tuning out all the negativity as we are being joined by the super talented Brandi Little, of course, and her new album, Bloom, motivational speaker, actress, singer, songwriter, triple threat. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon, my queen.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, I got to ask, being a motivational speaker and spending so much of your energy motivating others, how does Brandy motivate herself?
Well, it's funny because my little cousin was just telling me last week that everyone isn't my assignment. And sometimes, as I call myself a dealer of hope. So sometimes I think that I'm supposed to save the world, but really I'm just supposed to save myself. So, Brandy sings, Brandy makes people laugh. I swear I'm a comedian. So I stay in a space of peace. Even when things come my way, of course, I feel those emotions, but I remind myself that peace is where I should stay and where I should reside. And so, as long as I stay in a place of peace, good.
This industry can be somewhat cutthroat. I'll say that in a very mild manner. How have you maintained to kind of keep a balance, knowing not to, as far as balancing, not getting too high or not allowing yourself to get too low?
Well, that you said it there. It's just a balance. My balance is remembering that this is work. I was called to do something grand, no different than anybody else because we were all called to do different things. And so, as long as I realize that my home life is my home life, and then when I go to work, that's work, that kind of allows me to keep it, in a nice balance.
Bloom, the title of the EP. Who came up with the title and what exactly does Bloom mean to Brandy?
So Bloom was a collaborative effort between me and my best friend, who's also my manager, Christina.
Okay.
She kind of had the concept for my album cover, which I'm a lotus. And I said, she was saying, we got to think of something like rebirth. And I was like, blossom. And I was like, no, that's not it. I said, bloom. And so for me, if you've heard the story of the lotus flower, the truth of how a lotus is birthed, it's from the mud. And so I have really encountered a lot of things in my life that a lot of people may have given up on, but I continue to keep like faith in God and myself. And I was able to be reborn into something beautiful. And not the physical, but the spiritual. And so bloom to me is the essence of all of that, of the rebirth. Because I think a lot of people go through things and they think that life is over. And so for me, bloom is just a reminder to everyone that it's really not over until it is.
Absolutely. We have a tendency in our society, we go through our own, as far as being barraged by different obstacles, so to speak, where your faith is truly tested. Has it ever come a time where you know what your faith was really, really, really tested to break through and elevate yourself to a completely different level?
Oh yes, for sure. I spent majority of my life not liking who I was, not thinking anything of myself as valuable. So I was in a mental prison my entire life, and it took going to a physical prison for me to be set free. And so in those times of darkness when I was on my knees crying out for help, that is when I found the God that created me and the God that resides inside of me. And so it came to a point of breaking when I had nothing else to turn to. There was no cell phone, there was no phone that I could just call, there was no hugs, there was no one around me that loved me. So I had to build my strength up and learn how to truly love myself.
How imperative is for you to have a circle, an inner circle that keeps you grounded, knowing that this circle is predicated on being there for you, not so much what they can get from you.
Right. I pride myself in having such a beautiful group of friends. They are my motivators. Going back to your first question, these are the people that motivate me because I need to be poured into as well. And so, it's funny because the reason why I'm on this show, one of my good friends, she just said something like, well, you manifested all of this. But I told her, I was like, yeah, you were on the phone with me. Shout out to my girl Rhonda. You were on the phone with me and you believed me and you listened to
Right.
me and you encouraged me and you told me that I could do it. So me being here is an indication of what's around me. So it's very important.
What gives you more gratification, being a singer or doing acting?
Ah, ah. I'll say singing only because I know how spiritually healing it is for others. But what do I enjoy most? Acting. And that's
Act.
for me, I'm just, because I'm a character in my own self. And so
Okay.
to tap into somebody else, I have a good time. So,
And for those who are tuning in late, shame on you. We are being blessed this afternoon by the captivating Brandi Little, of course. Brandy, I got to ask you, seeing for me, I've had an opportunity to see you perform as far as visually, and you extend so much energy and so much passion
mm,
in your live performances. And I wanted to ask, you give so much of yourself after a performance. How long does it actually take you to wind down or come down from
you
that
are
kind of
asking some
high?
phenomenal questions. You're really good at what you do.
Well,
So
thank you.
it's funny. You're welcome. It's funny because as soon as I get finished with the performance, the people, my people, they want to greet me and say how great of a job. And I instantly have to like jet to the bathroom. And it's almost like a spiritual thing to where like I'm so full to where I literally have to come down. So it really takes a few days. But in the moment of right after a show, about a good 10 minutes, and I'm back and I'm ready. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Now, for a person, I'm dating myself a little bit.
Okay.
We had music stores, albums, 45s, 78s,
Okay.
33s, so to speak. If I was going into a record store and I seen a Brandi Little album, what would gravitate me to go and purchase that album? What is it about Brandi Little would actually say, you know what, I want this album. I need to listen to this album.
I feel like music has lost its touch of like real feeling, of real emotions. And so my music brings that. And I say that because it was created in a space of that, of healing and bringing peace. So, anybody that is going to be drawn to my music is going to be drawn to the inner peace of being able to press play and have someone sing your thoughts or someone that can connect to your wounds.
I get just from the the precious moments that I've had an opportunity to converse with you, I get a sense of transparency from
Mm,
you. Do you think having transparency in your music is a good thing where it allows other people to get a deeper look on who you are behind the music? Or is it sometime you have to kind of put your hands and say, I want to give them a little, but
yeah.
not give them too
Yeah.
much?
A lot of people think they know my whole story, but I haven't even begun to crack it open.
Okay. Okay.
But I am very transparent. And I feel like transparency, it's not more about me because people are going to have their opinions about me, which they do, honey, the rumors. But it's more for the people that feel alone in their struggle and that there's no one else that may have gone through or is currently going through what they go through. That's why I speak about it. Because a lot of people idolize me in a way because of the way I look, and it's just me being honest and the way that I carry myself. But there is a story behind this version of me. And in 10 years, this version will not match that version. And so I just want people to know that it's a continuous growth. And so that's really the reason for my transparency.
Like peeling an onion, because
Exactly.
onion has so many
So
different.
many layers.
Yes, Lord, it truly
It
does. It
does.
truly does. Giving so much of yourself in your music, do you think it's important to, as far as your life experiences, how important is it to share your life experiences through your music? Because there are so many people out there that may have gone or going through the same things that you've had to go through growing up in Atlanta. So what does it mean to you to know that you're getting that type of love and feedback the people that who can relate to what you're doing and what you're bringing?
Right. Well, before people get on here and call me a liar, Teddy, I didn't grow up in Atlanta. So where they come from, you know what I'm saying? I grew up in Georgia, a
Right.
small town in Georgia. And, for me, going back to what I was just saying earlier, it's just really important for us to know we're not alone out here. And so I'm open that way because I want us to know that we can all be open. I often like reference the Bible and not, to make anybody believe in any type of religion, because that's not fair. You can't
Right.
make anybody believe what you feel is right for you. But I reference the Bible because there's so many different stories in there about all these different individuals, and they went through this, and they tell you from the beginning until the end, how long they spent in prison, who turned they back on them, who didn't believe in them. See, these stories was written for a reason. It wasn't
Right.
just so that we could read them and have history facts. It's so that we could read them and we could relate to our own lives, and we could think about how whoever couldn't have a baby until she was however old to hold on to faith. So I speak about my story so often. It's not because I don't feel bad about what I've gone through. Some days, but for the most part, I realize that my story is a part of someone else's healing. So if I hold that to myself, that creates shame. That creates a layer of where I can't be myself and I got to hide in a box, when we were never created to be in a box. We were created to live out loud and to live abundantly. That's not money, that's spiritually. And
Right.
so that's definitely my reasoning for the transparency and the openness about, who I am.
Well, it definitely comes across in your music. And speaking of your music, of course, the new album, Bloom, as you said, basically, like Sly said, I want to thank you for letting me be myself
Mhm.
again. And it really shines through your music. What are some of the goals that you have set? I mean, I can't believe that we're on the cusp of going into 2023. My goodness, it flew. But what are some of the goals that you have set for yourself for the upcoming new year?
Well, I have started to get a lot of love in UK. So I really want to go on a tour out there. I really want to start going to more places overseas to really interact with people, because, like you were saying, for me, when I perform, it's a spiritual thing. So I really want to, give that energy other places than Georgia and the East Coast of the United States. I want to continue to make great music. I
Okay.
just want to continue to take things to a higher level, and really just for my reach to be more, because whether people ever speak about it or not, I know that I was gifted so that I can be able to help people. And so my ultimate goal is just for as many people as possible to be able to hear the message, hear the music, and vibe to it, so that we can all vibe like on a higher frequency.
Without question. Was it a ever point in your career? When I've had an opportunity to speak to so many wonderful different artists, they said, you know what? I have been surrounded by so many people. I've had all the materialistic things that you could ever imagine, but then at the same time, I felt alone.
Mm.
Was there ever a point in your life that you actually felt that, where you've actually experienced that kind of
For
feeling?
sure. Yeah. I grew up not poor or anything like that. I grew up very well. And unfortunately, my family lost everything at a very critical time in my youth. I was in ninth grade. And
Okay.
so me and my family went from being able to have everything. I was like one of the first kids to have a cell phone, to my mom being like, I can really only get you one pair of shoes for school. And so even though I didn't feel alone, I had held money to such a high esteem in my life, throughout my childhood and being able to do things. And so when I lost it, it made me feel like I lost all of who I was. So I have gone through the humbling moments of having money or feeling like I have money, because never mind, and realizing what it's like to not have it. But in that, I grew and I learned that it's so much more to that. Like I was saying earlier, it's something about that spiritual abundance. And I pride myself on that right now. And I keep the circle of friends around me, and the family members who I am close with, I keep them around me on a daily basis, because they are a reminder that it's so much more than the things, because the things get boring easily. You buy a brand new dress. I love clothing. You buy a brand new dress, you wear it, you feel phenomenal. Now we have
Right.
Instagram, you take videos, but then it's gone.
Yeah.
But the money has been spent. And so I realized that, good memories, good conversations, great laughs, those things are my things now that I pride myself in having.
Do you think a lot of us in general take those things for granted, that we really don't, as the old adage, take the time and smell the roses, that we don't really take the time to really become appreciative of the things that we do have? And I don't mean, as you said, materialistic things, but just the whole spiritual concept of just enjoying being able to laugh, being able to converse with people who are really into you as a person, not from what they can get from you. How important is that for you?
It's so important for me because, I spent a lot of my life not liking myself and trying to please others and trying to be what they wanted me to be. And when all I had to do was accept my life and my reality and who I was and who I'm going to be, instead of being so fixated on who they think I am. And I know that our world is so, computerized. Everything is about, people feel like we're free, but we're actually more robots than anything, because
Right.
we all have this standard of how we should live, what we should drive, how our wedding should look. Everything is idolized instead of the actual family, the community, the connections, the realness. And I feel like when we get back to that, that's our core, and us coming together and loving each other. And that's when a lot of things that are happening in this world will stop, because we'll realize that our joy and peace comes within, and not trying to compete with our brother, but being friends with our brother.
Keeping up with the Joneses has always been one of our greatest downfalls, unfortunately. What is the vibe like? Being spiritually grounded and have a better awareness of who you are. What is the vibe like for you when you go into a studio and you start working
Yeah.
on your music? Do you have a particular way that things have to be set up to really put you in that particular mode, the creative mode, so to speak?
I'm an onion, so we gonna hold some of my stuff back before some folks get mad at me. But I like to feel good. I
Okay.
just like for the vibes to be high. I like for, if everybody can't come to the studio with me. You know what I'm saying? Because if you're gonna be looking like you bored and stuff, and you can't come. But as long as the energy is there, I'm there. I do a lot of freestyle songs. I'm a great writer, but for some reason I connect to music so much differently when they just press play and I go run in the booth. It's like the music talks to me before I could try to think about what should be said. The music speaks to me and says what the song is about. But yeah, I'm real free vibes. It's real vibey around here. So it's not much for me. Back in the day I used to call myself a hippie, and then I did a little more research and I said, well, maybe I'm not a hippie, but I'm a free but I'm a free spirit. So yeah.
Well, the wonderful thing about being a free spirit, as you touched upon earlier, there's no box,
Right.
there's no parameters.
Mm-hmm.
You're able to expand yourself and do the things that you want to do. I think a lot of times being in the industry, they want to control you. They want to
Mm-hmm.
put you in a box and put you in a certain direction. Hey, we want you to go to this particular crowd or this particular crowd.
Exactly.
How important is it for you as being an artist to stay true to yourself?
I'm breaking a lot of boundaries right now in this moment. There's a lot of people 6 months ago said, "Well, Brandy, you're not gonna be able to do that if you don't do this." Or what are you? You jazz singer, you R&B, you neo soul, and God, we made it to the top charts for a few weeks. So I think that my message as an artist is to influence other artists, because there's so many other people who are just as dope, if not doper than me. They need to come out of that box and feeling like they got to dress a certain way, talk a certain way, wear your hair a certain way, dance like this in a video. That's not reality, because if he created us all to be the same, then there wouldn't be all of these talented individuals. And so I feel like as long as I tap into the true divinity of who I am as an artist and as a person, then I'm going to shine the way that I was intended to.
No, I have my opinion. May be wrong, won't be the first, definitely will not be the last. Do you consider yourself a singer or a vocalist?
Mm, I don't know the difference. What's the
The
difference?
difference, somebody just sings. I'll say, let me compare. Beyonce is a singer.
Mm,
She's an entertainer.
mm,
A vocalist is
mm,
Whitney Houston.
mm.
I look at Whitney Houston, I look at Mariah Carey. To me, those are vocalists. Or do you consider yourself just an all around entertainer,
Ah,
a triple threat,
I am
vocalist?
a triple threat. You know
Yes,
what
Lord.
I'm saying? But I really love what I'm able to do vocally, because it's something like I've never really heard. Now I have a lot of different influences, but I feel like vocally I hear things and do things that other people have never done before. And so, but am I a full entertainer? Yeah, because I love to entertain. I love to be on the stage and just give people a good time, because that's what they're here for.
How have you seen, as far as the creative process, as far as your writing? How have you seen it evolve from where you're at now to, say, 4 years ago?
Oh yeah, the confidence for sure. You know, you write a song or two and people call you telling you they love your lyrics, you know what I'm saying? You're like, okay, I'm doing something. You know, just being willing to be more transparent. I feel like a true songwriter is someone who's really willing to open up the diary book, the journal, and really just let it all go and not be worried about people's thoughts. I know for a lot of ghostwriters, it's easier for them because there's no face attached to the words. But for me, sometimes it could be tricky. You know, sometimes people can hear some of my lyrics and they're like, "Wait, what did you just say? Did that happen to you?" So I feel like, truthfully, my growth has just been in me being more open with who I am.
What gives you, as far as right now, I've seen more independent artists that I can never imagine in my lifetime. At one time, you had a lot of these independent artists were on major labels. For you, if a major label came to you and offered you a huge contract, what would be some of the stipulations that you would put in this contract to make sure that you would still have complete creative control over your music?
Now, Teddy, I feel like this is a trick question. Like you got the label. Yeah, I will only take a lot of money. That's the only way you're gonna get me. But as long
Okay.
as they know that I have my own view on who I am as an artist. That if they want someone that is already out, then they should just find someone else because I can't go out here and be like anybody else. Being
Right.
like someone else took my whole entire life away from me. So, you know, for however many months that was. So, my only stipulations would be allow me to be my own creative self. I'm producible, so I'll never be in a room with someone and not be able to make a song, but I need to be able to have my creative juices flow because this is my creativity. You know, nobody told Michael Jackson he couldn't be Michael Jackson. Nobody told Prince he couldn't be Prince, and nobody's gonna tell Brandi Little she can't be Brandi Little. I'm gonna do what I was called to do, and we can have fun and get some money together.
Absolutely. One of the things I love so many things about you as far as the aspect of who you are, not just as an entertainer, but
Right.
as a person. But I can see now that you are ready mentally and spiritually prepared to do this because, as I said before, you've had a lot of great artists who have gotten trapped in pitfalls pertaining to fame when they are surrounded by a bunch of yes people and
Mm-hmm.
you have that excessive lifestyle. So wait a minute, I'm getting X amount of dollars. I'm traveling all over the place and I have the accessibility to get anything that I want. It seems to me that you're prepared to never allow yourself to go on as far as fall in that type of that pitfall.
Right. We can't predict the future, right? And let's
Right.
be honest, I've never had $1 million in my hand, and I consider myself I'm gonna be a billionaire out here one day. So I'm not gonna sit up here and say I'll never do that because it'd be the people who don't know what it's like to experience things that go through things. But what I
Right.
will say is that I have a very great relationship with my creator. I have a very great relationship with my manager, with my stylist, designer, Ashley Monique. I just have a great circle around me. And as long as we stay connected spiritually and we remember the mission, I just really don't see anything breaking me as far as it comes to the material things. I've dealt with the whole world laughing at me or what I thought was the whole world laughing at me. So truthfully, a lot of the things I endured already in my life prepared me for this life.
Singer, songwriter, actress, entrepreneur, businesswoman, definitely a beautiful thing. On the business aspect, what direction do you want to see your business go? The level that you want to exceed. I mean, do you ever see yourself kind of going over as far as doing modeling, cosmetics, things of that nature? As you
Right.
said, you love clothes.
I love clothes. And so my bestie, she made this dress. She takes
Okay.
care of me clothes wise, but we are actually in talks and works in doing my own cosmetic line. You know,
Okay.
prior to me being in the industry, I was a makeup artist and a hairstylist.
Okay.
So we are really excited about that. So
Okay.
modeling, you know, I like to model. I love taking pictures, but sometimes I'm like, this is boring. You want me to stay like this for, you know, but I'm not against it, you know. So
Okay.
I'm definitely, you know, if an endorsement ever comes knocking at my door, I would love to model for whoever. But Cosmetic, absolutely. I just see myself expanding the brand in many ways. I call myself a dealer of hope, so I plan to publish a few books. I definitely want a few books to come out. I want to go on tour for speaking. I just want to continue using my voice in all forms that have been given to me to heal people in whatever way that they need their healing.
Without question. The Brandy Little, and I've always asked this question with every artist that I've had the pleasure with conversing with. The Brandy Little of today, if she could go back and speak to the Brandy Little, say maybe 15, 16 years old, what would be some of the things that you would say to her to help her prepare for this journey?
That I am worthy, that I matter, that I am special, that my complexion is my power, that my smile lights up the room, that my shape is perfect, that my nose is perfect, that everything about you is amazing, especially your voice. I know you don't sound like anybody else, but you were never supposed to. And I would give her a hug and I would tell her, get ready, because life was going to throw her a lot, but she was going to still be standing all those years.
Mm, Lord have mercy. Well, do you mind giving the viewers out there just a sample,
Yeah.
slice of cheesecake of
All
that
right.
eclectic voice, pretty please, with sugar on top?
So since we done been talking about God the whole time, I'll do the last record on my album. It's called Pray for You.
Okay.
Something about the way you say my name. Maybe it's the way you look into my eyes. Something pure about your energy. This is deeper than love. You're a friend to me. I pray for you daily. Pray for you. I'll ask the Lord to carry you. Give me what you need, 'cause you always see me. This is love, something pure. This is love. I don't care what I need to do.
Lord have mercy. Let the congregation say, Amen.
Amen.
So, when are we going to have an opportunity to see your next live performance? I know the listeners and fans out there definitely want to see you perform live.
Yeah, so my next live performance, I'll actually be at a place called Serenity Lounge. I'll be with my brother, Corey Brown. He's going to be doing his thing on the saxophone. So I'll be there with him. It's in Macon, Georgia, Serenity
Okay.
Lounge. Yeah. That's my next live performance. And we got some other things brewing. So check the website. It's brandylittlemusic.com for all of the other upcoming dates.
Okay. And they say, well, Teddy Bear, we're here, we're across country. How do we get there? Trains, planes, automobiles. If you have to get on the Campbell, you make sure you get there. I don't
Or
care.
y'all call y'all's promoters in y'all city and say, bring Brandi Little. They like them phone calls.
Definitely a beautiful thing. And family, remember, get the new album, of course, Bloom. My queen, it was definitely an honor and a privilege to have you on. And again, this is your home. Whatever you need, please do not hesitate to let me know. Hopefully, very soon, you'll make your way down there to Houston, Texas. We would love to hear you and see you perform live.
I would
Definitely.
love that. We got to set something up. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, my pleasure, love. Family, again, the super talented, of course, Brandi Little, here in the zone of LOTO Radio. Want to thank everyone for tuning in and tuning out all the negativity. Again, it's Mr. Radiant Extraordinaire, the teddy bear. Yes, Lord, on a beautiful Wednesday afternoon. And just wanted to give you a little FYI, heads up. This Friday afternoon, we have the legendary former member of Three Dog Night, Mr. Chuck Negrum will be joining us. Let's Lord. We're looking forward to that. And to get all the latest updates, let your fingers do the walking. Let your fingers do the walking. Stop by our official website. That's on Instagram. That's at Instagram.com/. LOTL Radio, the Comfort Zone Radio. Also on Facebook, that's at Facebook, LOTL Radio, the Zone. Yes, Lord. Or just LOTL, the Zone, to cut it down. On Twitter, LOTL Radio. And last but not least, hey, Matter of fact, if you have a particular request and you want a particular artist, hey, as long as it's quality, we take quality over quantity anytime, any day. I want to thank you for allowing me in your home, to you and always. Keep it soulful here in the zone of LOTO Radio. Lord have mercy.